everybody, welcome back to Growing in the Cove. My name is Stacy and I garden in Zone 5B, Newfoundland. It's been a little while since I've made a video. Don't worry, I've still been gardening and I've been very busy. To be honest, I'm a little bit depressed that the growing season is over and we've got a long cold winter ahead of us, but that will give me lots of time to dream up all of my garden plans for next year. So today I thought I would bring you along and show you planting my garlic for the 2026 year. Garlic is one of my favorite crops to plant. Last year, admittedly, my garlic was not as large as it was in past years, probably due to the difficult growing season we had. It was very, very dry. But I did get this beautiful garlic come from Vessie's, and I believe there's still some available if you wanted to order online. It's probably on sale by now because you're kind of cutting it close to get things ordered. But look at this humongous clove of garlic. So they sent some beautiful varieties. This is Porcelain Music, which I plant every year, and it does so good in our Newfoundland climate. I recommend this variety to everybody. And if you really like cooking, this is really good to eat both fresh and roasted. And honestly, what I like the best about them is I find that the purple varieties have so many cloves within a bulb that they can be really difficult to peel. So I like that these ones usually have a maximum of about 5 cloves per bulb. So it's just easier to use for cooking and everything else. So I am going to show you how I plant my garlic. If you are interested in that, please keep watching. So this is a job that I generally like to do anytime past Halloween, because I find that our Octobers can be so warm that I don't want my garlic to sprout prematurely. However, if you've already planted your garlic and that happened, it's going to be just fine. It'll overwinter and continue growing in the spring, but I tend to like to wait until the temperatures cool. One thing I do like to do when I plant garlic is crop rotation. So I have 3 8x4 beds across this garden, and each year I will plant my garlic in a different bed. So basically it's a good idea that if you are growing in raised beds or in any location, to not grow the same plant in the same place every year. Your soil is going to get really depleted of very specific nutrients, and you're more likely to have things like diseases show up in your crop. So I like to put them in a new bed every year. So it'll be 3 years before we are back in this bed again. So as you can see, I actually have some carrots here that need to be harvested before I can plant anything else in this bed. So let's do an impromptu carrot harvest. Okay, so let's pull some carrots. These carrots really struggled this year. Normally I have amazing carrots. Look how little these are. But with the dry, I know I'm like a broken record, but it was a dry season, and because of that, everything really struggled for me, other than my tomatoes did fantastic. So this variety is called Chantenay, and it is a shorter variety. It's not really meant to get that long. I think they max out at about 6 inches, but they do get kind of wide. So, and they're a good storage variety. Sometimes, I don't know if anyone else finds this, you will get off types in your carrots. Like every year I usually get a pure purple carrot, and this is like a yellow carrot. It's very strange. This is a decent one. Obviously I didn't thin all of these very well. This is what happens if you don't thin your carrots. Although I do try to be pretty diligent on this. And sometimes you end up with these forked ones, which some people will say is like compaction in your soil can cause that. Now my soil is actually really loose, so I don't know, maybe it was the heat. So I'm hoping for better carrots next year. Again, I really could have watered them more. Here we go, another yellow carrot. Does anyone else experience this? And this is only one type of seed that was planted. Very strange. Oh, these are some nice ones. Beautiful, look at that. Beautiful. So that is a very respectable carrot harvest, and although it looks so pretty to keep the greens on the carrot, I find that it sucks the moisture out of them pretty quickly. So I'm actually going to snap these off, rinse them off, and then I will store them likely in my fridge because I don't really have any cold storage areas that don't freeze. So I'm pretty pleased with these. Now I'm going to spread some compost. I've got 2 bags of this amazing local product called Pisces compost, which is made of fish byproducts. I purchase it at Carews in Portugal Cove, but in a lot of nurseries all over Newfoundland, you can purchase these blue bags, and they are the best compost I have ever purchased, other than, you know, they are the next best thing to compost that you make yourself. But I definitely would recommend feeding your soil, whether that's with kelp or leaf mold, you know, some compost. I would definitely add some nutrition to your soil because alliums are big, heavy feeders. So I'm going to spread this out. What I like about this compost is that they guarantee, what is the percentage? They guarantee at least 40% minimum organic matter. So that probably doesn't sound very high, but a lot of the bagged manures and composts that you buy at big box stores are mostly just massive bags of mulch with very little manure in them, which, you know, can be very costly when you have a large garden that you want to add manure to. So sometimes it's worth scouting out what you can get that's a locally made product, which not only will support your local economy, but actually will be worth buying. So I just top off my bed. I use 2 bags for an 8x4 bed, and now we will get to planting. Okay, so I had to go in the greenhouse to do this job because my hands are so cold. It is so damp and cold. Whoops. The soil is absolutely freezing. So I am in the greenhouse to break apart my cloves. So this is very easy. Oh my gosh, these are humongous. So what you need to do is each bulb contains cloves, which you'll plant separately. So you need to break them all apart, and each, oh my goodness, these are so hard to separate. Each of these little cloves will become a full bulb of garlic. So I've ordered 2 pounds. I don't know if I'm going to have room for this in my 8x4 bed. But this is why a lot of people will buy, you know, like a pound of garlic or a couple of cloves or a couple of bulbs, and that's enough to fill out a pretty sizable space. So I will break them all apart and then bring you back. Now I'm going to just mark with this piece of wood my rows, which will be about 4 to 6 inches apart. I plant pretty densely since I'm planting in a bed and I don't really need much space in between. So this will just make it faster for my planting. Oops. Now that I have made all of my lines in the soil, I'm going to start laying out my garlic cloves. Obviously, I will pull any weeds if I see them. Any weeds that you leave in the ground now are going to become even bigger weeds next year. So I like to try to pull as I go. So since I may not have enough room to plant all these, I always prioritize my biggest bulbs, because the biggest cloves that you plant are going to create the bigger bulbs of garlic. So go through and plant the biggest ones first, because those are going to give you your biggest yields. So I think I usually do about 6 across in an 8x4 bed. All right, and I'm going to keep going, and I will come back when I start planting. I actually changed my mind and I did 7 cloves across because I had a few more garlic cloves than I anticipated. So this is really easy. Once you get them all laid out, I find that the planting can be really fast. So I like to use this dibber. You could also use a stick or a hori-hori knife or just a garden trowel, but I like these because I'll make a hole which is a couple inches deep. I'll sprinkle a little tiny bit of fertilizer in. I think this is a 6-12-12. I'm not sure. It's not actually what's written on this. I just reused the tin. But I like to give them a little boost, so I'll put them probably 3 inches down, and that's it. And then I just keep going. And this part only takes me probably 5 minutes. So I will check in when I get all these planted. If I didn't mention this before, the orientation that you want to plant these in the hole is that you want to have this little flat part is where the root comes out and the pointy part sticking up. So put it with the flat part down into the hole. I've now covered the whole bed in a layer of leaves, and this is totally not necessary, but if you have issues like I do with rodents, I have this wire mesh that I use to keep out the rats and honestly keep my layer of mulch in place, because otherwise I may not have any garlic come spring if I let the rats have a feast. So I just put down wire mesh and then I stick rocks down on top to keep it in place. And this is fine because the moisture can still pass through it, and once the snow melts, I will take it off and roll it back up again. So this is my finished garlic bed. In the past, when I haven't had access to leaves for whatever reason, I've actually put down evergreen boughs as a mulch as well, and that's worked really well. And I don't even think mulch is necessary, but for the really cold winters that we tend to have here, I like to have a little layer of insulation for the garlic. I'm now officially cold. So that concludes planting up my bed of garlic for next year. It's crazy to think that 2025 is done for this growing season and we're going to be looking into 2026. I feel like time has just flown. And I've had some definite successes this summer and definitely some failures, but I'm coming back at it. Next year I'll be refreshed and ready to try again and see if I can have an even better garden. So if you have any questions for me or comments about planting garlic, please leave them in the comment section below. I love hearing from everybody and chatting with you from wherever you are. And if you would like to help out my channel, you can hit the like button on this video, or you can hit subscribe if you'd like to be notified when I make new content. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.